All right. Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from Onthehop Podcast. Today, this is going to be episode 246 for you guys today. Today, I'm joined by my special guest, the host of the Run Podcast, Manny Wilson, joining us again this week. Manny, it's going to be one hell of an episode. I'd like to thank you for coming back on the episode for this week's episode.
Man, I appreciate you for having me on here, man. I'm excited to join. Love coming on the pod, talking with you about the sports.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one today for sure. So we're going to kick off with the NFL. Unfortunately, the season has come to a close, but the Super Bowl 60 just passed with the Seahawks defeating the Patriots by a score of 29-13. Manny, what's your thoughts on the Seahawks defeating the Patriots in this year's Super Bowl game?
My only thoughts is I told y'all. So I literally tried to say, and I tried to tell folks that the Seattle Seahawks was better than the New England Patriots in every aspect of football. And some folks accepted, some folks laughed at me and tried to say, well, Drake may beat the Broncos and Drake may beat the Texans, who are these top defenses. But as I've said countless times, the Patriots, yes, great defensive team, solid offensive team. In the playoffs, we've seen the way they've played. They've stunk it up. And I knew it would be different as soon as they faced the offense that actually put pressure against the Patriots offense because they had the potential to light up the scoreboard. Seahawks, they didn't do it. They didn't light up the scoreboard like I might have thought, but they had the potential. They were consistently a threat to light up the scoreboard, which made the Patriots have to kind of play on their heels and play comeback ball a little bit. And we see what happened. They couldn't do that. They couldn't get it done.
Yeah, man, it was a lot that happened in this game. And me and you definitely talked about it last week. The Seahawks defense would be too much for Drake May to handle. And
Hmm.
Mike McDonald, he had the perfect defensive scheme to slow down Drake May, a quarterback that could get it done with his arm and his legs all year long. The defense, the Seahawks defense had 6 sacks. They had 3 total turnovers and 1 defensive touchdown. The pass rush was just too much. They were even sending nickel blitzes with Witherspoon coming as a corner flying down to get pressure on Drake May. And we said last week, too, what if the New England Patriots defense could not bail out Drake May? Yes, they defeated the Chargers, the Texans, the Broncos, but you ran into a team that does not turn over the football. Sam Darnold had 20 turnovers in the regular season, had 0 in the Super Bowl. And that was the thing.
Man,
And the Patriots offense really wasn't good all postseason. They scored at like 2 out of 3 games that they played in prior to the Super Bowl. They only scored 1 offensive touchdown against the Chargers and the Broncos. And somebody even said on TikTok, "Oh, you are a box score watcher." No, bro. If watching the game, like your quarterback has not been efficient as Sam Darnold up until this particular point in the playoffs. So some
man,
Patriot fans couldn't accept it. But
man.
the offense deserves credit too. I mean, Sam Darnold, like we just said, mistake-free football, and Kenneth Walker, the MVP of the Super Bowl, 135 rushing yards, and the special teams played well. Every time they punted the ball, they put the Patriots in deep field position to go down the field and do something. And the kicker, I honestly thought the kicker was going to win Super Bowl MVP, man. I mean,
Damn
five
near.
for five for kicks, like putting up
Hey,
multiple points on the board. But yeah, man, it was just, I thought it was going to be a more exciting game, but it was nearly a BTA special. The Patriots put up some type of points, but
Tom.
yeah.
Tom, it was a BTA special, man. It was a BTA special. The scoreboard doesn't reflect that because Drake May started stat padding in garbage time, and that's when the Patriots tried to make the score look as not as bad as it really was. But if you watch this game from the first quarter all the way to the fourth, you seen this was a straight beatdown, boy. The Seahawks,
Yeah.
they gave it to these boys, man. And like it was because we gotta remember, man, like there was no points scored until the fourth quarter. And when the Patriots first scored, I believe it was already 19-0 at that time at that point.
Yeah,
So
it
the
was.
game was pretty much already out of reach. And yes, there was still some time for, any miracles to happen, but then you turn around and throw a pick six. or
Yes.
or damn near a pick six. It wasn't a pick six, correction. But you throw an interception when you about to try and go on this game winning drive. And it just goes to what I've been saying. When this Patriots offense is going to need to score against a certain team in order to win, will they be able to do it? And we've seen right here clearly that they will not be able to do it.
Yeah, the funniest thing about that interception that you just said, I remember, I swear, watching the game, I heard Chris Collinsworth say, Drake May is finally starting to read the defense.
Yep.
Literally, the next play he later threw an interception.
He's like, yeah, and he's getting into a groove. Drake May's getting into a groove. And then he threw the interception. Bro said, yeah, I have nothing. That's that's the part that really got me. He said, yeah, I have nothing. Because he was cooking. He had completed like three passes in a row. And then I don't know who the hell he was throwing it to, man. This is why I say th- it bothers me. And I can go down a whole explanation of people overhyping Drake May, calling him Brady 2.0, saying he's better than Stafford, saying he's on the same level as Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes. I heard some crazy, crazy things in the regular season. And when we got to the playoffs, I heard some awful excuses for Drake May. So I'm just saying, in this one game here where the Patriots clearly could have used Drake May because the defense still did their job holding
Mhm.
this talented offense to field goals. Like they did a tremendous job. You can't blame the Patriots defense here. It falls on Drake May because where the hell was he throwing the ball? It was a lot of passes where his receiver or tight end was wide open and he just whiffed, threw it way over his head, or he threw an interception.
Yeah, and I think the same thing with Drake May here. This is like one of the a Patriots fan was like, "Oh, you gotta give him credit because he played in the snowstorm against Denver." Bro, the Broncos are on the field too, bro. Like, what are you talking about? And then
Yeah,
they were like, "Well, the Charger, yeah, bro, he's played top 10 defenses." But again, that goes to our point. What are you going to do if the defense cannot bail you out? You go a step up, or you just go a step aside. And like you said, Manny, like there were times where some receiving options for the Patriots were open. Drake May would just hold the ball too long, trying to make the
yep.
play more existent than what it really was in real time. And I think a lot of times he paid for it. He paid the price for it, got hit a lot of times, dropping back. And obviously that led to 6 sacks. But it's just like, there's excuses, man. I don't want to say they were fraudulent, but you gotta, I'm not mad if people say they are fraudulent because all year long, by the grace of the NFL gods, you escaped real competition for so
Facts.
long. You get to the playoffs and you play these certain amount of teams, and I don't want to say luck. It's just, I don't know how I
Look,
feel. Like,
Tom, don't worry. You ain't got to say they fraudulent. Hell, I'll be the bad guy. The Patriots have been fraudulent. I've been trying to tell all these Pats fans that for the longest. And I'm not saying it's their fault that they didn't have to go against any competition in the playoffs or that they didn't see any good offenses in the playoffs or that they had to play Jarrett Stidham in the conference championship game. It's not their fault. They played what was laid out in front of them. But ultimately, you can't be mad at people for saying they're fraudulent when they haven't played any elite offenses, but yet people walking around saying, "Oh, this team better than them. They better than them. They better than them. They better than them." And it's like, come on, man, are you serious? Like,
yes.
it's yeah, man. They frauds. They've been frauds to me all season. All it took was one postseason, 1 week in the postseason to see, yeah, this team is fraudulent. Y'all can't beat the Chargers. Like you damn near lost to the Chargers, who can't protect, who couldn't protect Herbert, and the defense was also shaky. Like you couldn't beat the Chargers. I'm like, that game should have been a beatdown.
Yeah, man. It's just that brings me to my next question too, because this team, I do give them credit. They did. I mean, a year ago, what they were 4-13, and then fast forward, you go
Facts.
14-3, go to the Super Bowl. So my question to you, Manny, do you think the Patriots can get back to this spot or be in the mix next year?
So I think they can get to the playoffs next year. And I think the Patriots will continue to be relevant next year. However, going to the Super Bowl, I don't think we're going to see that happen as easily as we did, especially if guys are healthy in the AFC and teams are healthy in the AFC. I just don't see it happening, man. Like, this is a good Patriots team, so I know they'll be able to compete. And if they earn it the hard way, if they go against Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, and they're just beating these teams, these elite teams of the AFC, then I ain't gonna have nothing to say. You won't hear a peep out my mouth about them being fraudulent. If they're playing legitimate competition and beating competition in the playoffs, then they have earned their way there. Just similar to how they did this year. They won those games that they played. It wasn't good competition, but they did win those games, so they earned their way there. But it'll be more respectable once they go to a Super Bowl or AFC Conference Championship game and play some of these teams that are deemed elite in the AFC.
Yeah, that's a good point there. I think this team can be in the mix. I don't know about going back to the Super Bowl. Like they got everything here, And like I just said a few moments ago, I think they do deserve credit for going from 4-13 to 14-3 and going to the Super Bowl. But the thing is, it's going to be hard because, like you said, there's going to be teams back in the mix. The Ravens with Lamar Jackson could be in the mix. The Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes might be in the mix. The Broncos ain't going nowhere. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen ain't going nowhere. Like the landscape of the AFC is only going to get better. They
Yeah,
got everything minus an elite pass rusher on the defense. Like I was proud of the way how Christian Gonzalez, their cornerback, one of the best corners in football, allowed zero
definitely.
total yards in the Super Bowl. But then I'm looking at the offense. Obviously, the offense isn't perfect, and that goes back to my point. They've only in the first three games before the Super Bowl, you only scored one touchdown, 2 out of 3 of those games. That's alarming to me. And the left
Yeah.
side of the line has to get better. Like the left side of the line allowed 8 pressures in the Super Bowl, 8 or more pressures in the Super Bowl. And rookie Will Campbell actually allowed 14 pressures in the Super Bowl on the left side of the offensive line. So I think they're also missing a true number one wide receiver. I don't think Stephon Diggs or Kayshon Boutte, none of those guys are true number one wide receivers. They should
Mm.
do everything in their power to possibly call Philadelphia and try to get A.J. Brown to New England. And I think they're missing another elite pass rush. I think this team can compete for a while, but I don't see them getting back to the Super Bowl anytime soon.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought up the O line thing, and I kind of want to talk about that just for a second. So it makes me laugh when people blame the Super Bowl loss, specifically that game in the Super Bowl, on the offensive line. When in reality, if you've been watching the Patriots not even all season, but just all in the postseason. Every game that they've played, Drake May has been sacked 5 times. So
Yeah.
it's been an ongoing issue. It's not like, oh well, all of a sudden his line didn't show up. No, his line didn't show up. The divisional round, his line didn't show up. The previous the following rounds after that, his line wasn't there the entire time. And yes, it can hurt the way Drake May was playing, but the thing is, I just dislike how people go from, oh, well, Drake May is doing this. He had 2 touchdowns in this game, or oh, he played in the snow. That's the only reason he didn't play good. And it's like, okay, like what is it? What is it? Is it that his line wasn't good? Is it that it was snowing? Because I'm looking at, I've seen Drake May cook in the regular season when his line wasn't that sturdy. Like I've seen him still ball out. So credit to him. That excuse has to be out the window. And then when people talk about, oh well, it was snowing in the conference championship game. That's what do you want him to do? What do you expect when it's a blizzard? Okay, I get that. I'll even give y'all a pass on that. But I can't give you a pass on clear skies, first half of the game. You don't even have 50 passing yards. I,
Yep.
I can't give you a pass on that. And then for the offense, the one commanding the offense, you don't even have over 40 rushing yards.
Nope.
So I can't give you a pass for that. And again, okay, you can bring back the excuse of his O lineman, but he was sacked 3 times. At this point, it should have been evident that, all right, we know this Patriots offense is not as good as everybody is hyping up, or we know they're not as good as certain people in media and fans are hyping up, because we've seen him get sacked multiple times. And now you're playing with clear skies, and this man can't pass the ball, you can't run the ball, you just on hush. So
Hmm.
that's my main aspect there, is like this offense was stagnant. This offense that people swore up and down was going to be able to hang with the Seahawks was very stagnant. You said people say, "Oh, well, they played the Broncos, who's the top tier defense. You played the Texans, who's the top tier defense." Yes, those are elite defenses. But one thing people did not account for is that the Seahawks are elite defense, but they also have a good offense, and that's what really set them apart from everybody else that the Patriots played.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, you had a lot of good points, and that's why I'm like, I don't want to take anything away from them, but I'm just like, if you go back to those games, the Broncos game, yeah, the final score was 10-7, but the Broncos defense was hanging in there. The
Yeah.
offense just couldn't do their job and put up more points than 7 points, because if they did, they probably would have went to the Super Bowl instead of the Patriots. Then you look at the Texans, and CJ Stroud just came to play, didn't turn over the ball so many times. Like
Playing.
they could have had a chance to go to the AFC Championship other than the Patriots. And a lot of people also forget in that game too that Nico Collins, their number one wide receiver, didn't even play in that game because he had a concussion. Now that's not backing up how bad CJ Stroud played, but the
Yeah,
Patriots, in a way, like their defense was gifted in a lot of good opportunities. And then when you finally run into a team that can force turnovers, get the sacks just like you, and the offense can somewhat score and not turn over the football, then you're in a world of trouble. And we've been talking about that, and that's what the problem the Patriots ran into. So, and that goes to your point too. The offensive line really wasn't that strong all year long. They just weren't playing elite defenses or elite pass rushes all up until the playoffs. Like I
yeah.
think the best defensive line they played was probably the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line. And that's not elite, it's solid with the
Shit,
pieces
probably.
they have, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't that much competition. I could be wrong, so somebody might have to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure they only played two or three playoff teams the entire regular season.
yep,
And it's
Buffalo
like, yeah,
and
in some of
Tampa.
these games they almost lost who were in playoff teams. Like I look at the game when they played the Falcons. Falcons offense was awful that game, but yet they still almost beat the Patriots. And it's, obviously the Patriots took care of business. It is what it is. Congrats to them. But that was a game for me watching. I'm like, oh, this Patriots team is not as good as everybody's talking about. Like they just almost lost to a team with no offense.
Right.
But through the course of the season, they continued to prove me right. And the playoffs, the right matchups just so happened to happen for the New England Patriots. So they found their way in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man, that's just crazy. But we'll see if they can bounce back next year or not. But Manny, I do have one more question while we're on the topic of the Super Bowl. I see in your opinion about the Bad Bunny halftime show, and I agree with you. I think the message was very strong, very clear for an audience where a lot of, I won't say the words that I want to, but a lot of people in the world try to boycott the halftime show and ended up being the most streamed halftime show in NFL history. So I think we're both in agreement that the Bad Bunny halftime show was a success with the message that he sent. I want to know your thoughts next year in LA. Who do you think should be a part of the Super Bowl halftime show next year?
Man, this is crazy. It's kind of hard, and I don't think it'll be as successful as we've seen over the previous years in terms of whoever they choose. I don't have a one specific name, but this might just have to be one of those performances where they grab a couple of people, where you grab maybe two or three stars and celebrities, and they just have to kind of make it a big mega performance because you look at the previous year. Okay, all right, let's go back a couple of years. In fact, you go from Rihanna to Usher, big stars, huge names. Then from there, Kendrick Lamar had a crazy huge performance, regardless of if people think it was big or not. It doesn't matter. The moment was huge, and it was a very well anticipated Super Bowl, regardless of if you think it was good or not. And now you look at Bad Bunny following up on that very anticipated Super Bowl, most watched Super Bowl of all time. And I mean, he put on a hell of a performance, even if you didn't understand what the hell he was saying. I thought it was still good from multiple aspects. But regardless of if somebody thinks it was good or bad, it was still a very much anticipated performance that did thrive, and a lot of people watched it. And I know there's some negativity surrounding it, but a lot of people enjoyed it as well. So now, with Super Bowl being in LA, you can't really go back to Kendrick. You
Yeah.
can, but it would be a little weird to go back to Kendrick after he just did it 2 years ago. And then from there, you also did the Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, you had Eminem, Mary J. Blige. You had all of them on stage at one point, and that's a huge thing for LA. So now you can't really go back to that, or that might have even been in the regular season. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm pretty sure they did the Super Bowl though. That was the
Yeah,
one.
that was
Yeah.
Rams and Bengals a few years ago.
Yep. So okay. Yep. So you can't really go back to that, and I think at this point you might have to go to another female dominating artist, just because like everybody else is I don't want to say played out. That's probably the wrong word, but I think you got to go somewhere that's big. Just yeah, I don't know, man. You're gonna have to pivot. You're gonna have to pivot. I can't think of any specific names at the moment, but you definitely gonna have to pivot and go with the hot hand whoever's, dropping the hottest stuff this year.
Yeah, man, it's going to be tough because, like you said, they went all out in the hip hop and the R&B genre with the big names of the last few years: Rihanna, Usher, Kendrick, and Bad Bunny. Like they got their work to do for the next couple months to figure out who's going to do it. So I'm thinking I got two names here. Now this is
I actually got
oh,
a
what'd you
name
say?
too. I actually got a name too. I want you to say yours. I don't know if you'll say the same one, but
All right, I
go
got
ahead.
two. I think these two are really good ideas here. And then this is going to be a wild card, but these are two ones. All right, first option. If he can get his mind right and prove to everybody that he can perform still at a big stage, I'm gonna go.
Hell no.
I'm gonna throw out Kanye West,
They
yo.
not letting that man on stage.
If he could get his mind right, man, this man has hits for days. He just got to pull it together for 15 to 20 minutes. Like I'm thinking about the legendary catalog that would bring a lot of fans and bring a big audience to watch the halftime show. I'm looking at all the lights, flashing lights, possibly Otis with him and Jay-Z on stage,
Man.
Runaway, Jesus walks through the wire. And I know this second one I'm going to say is another wild card because of his unfortunate past, and he's cleaning himself up in his image. I'll
They
go with
ain't
the
letting his
R&B
ass on
route.
there either.
I'm gonna go R&B route. I'm gonna say Chris Brown. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Chris Brown was bringing a breezy bowl to the Super Bowl for like 15, 20 minutes. That's another
Yeah.
guy with a legendary catalog. Like you can play Under the Influence, No Guidance. I know Drake is never gonna do a Super Bowl, but you can play No Guidance for a little bit. Go Crazy, Look at Me Now, Deuces, Loyal. Like I think these two are some good hits based off of the artists that we've seen over the last few years of Rihanna, Usher, Kendrick, Bad Bunny. Now those are wild cards, but I do agree you might have to go with the hot hand who's ever dropping the hottest stuff by the end of the year.
All right, now I got my person. So I would again, I would love to see those guys you mentioned. I would love to see a Kanye. I would love to see a Chris Brown. But that I'm gonna tell you right now, we all know that's not. They damn sure ain't giving Kanye the mic. They're at halftime. They not
Oh,
giving that man the mic. But the one person, all right, like I said, I think they're gonna have to go with the high hand here, and it's gonna be unpopular amongst a lot of people, which is why it's gonna draw a lot of viewers. But it'll be very, very popular amongst a very specific group. I think Jay-Z got to put that call. He got to hit up Taylor Swift again and be like, look, we need you to come do the Super Bowl. We need you to come do it. I'm just saying, because that's the hot hand. That's the main hot hand right there. And she's apparently turned it down before, or they've tried to get her and tried to pitch her to do it, but things weren't right at the time. Now I don't know if she's still in her ass always on tour. So I don't know if she's still on tour or not. But look, man, that's the hot hand right there where if you really want to continue to keep this upward trajectory on Super Bowl halftime performances, she's gonna bring entertainment. And as of now, man, she has been killing it on tour. She's been killing it. I mean, again, her ass is always on tour, but her
yeah.
shows and stuff, again, even if you don't like her music, if you might not like the performance, it's gonna be one of them things where you just gotta respect it.
Yeah, man. I see that's the thing. If Taylor Swift fans were just so annoying, them damn Swifties were so annoying. Like I wouldn't even care. I still wouldn't even care if she got it because that goes on to your point. Like you're still bringing the biggest star, and I think out of any genre right now, like her fan base, I think she is the biggest star in music right now.
Yeah.
And she does have some hits, so it wouldn't be like the worst idea. I actually think it'd be a really good idea. It's
It's
just the annoying ass fans that would just act like the Super Bowl. And then
it
if the Chiefs snuck in there, man, oh my God.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay,
Oh,
that would be the no for me.
oh.
That would be the no for me if the Chiefs ended up being in the Super Bowl. I don't want to. I'd be like, all right, y'all need another year of being trash before you go back. Like, nah, I need y'all to cool it. But I really do think like that's what makes a lot of Super Bowls, the most viewed and the most anticipated is because it's such a large group that's like low key preying on their downfall, and it's also a large group that's supporting this person who's doing the Super Bowl halftime show. So I think Taylor Swift, who is one of the biggest artists in the world right now, a mega star, if she was to announce she's doing the Super Bowl, I think it would be outrageous. And then you got a lot of people who don't really even care about football who's gonna tune in. Similar to how this year it was a lot of people who like, man, I don't care about the Seahawks or Patriots. I'm watching for Bad Bunny. Like
Yeah.
it'll be a similar situation if Taylor Swift does the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I think she would definitely break the streaming numbers for the
Hmm.
most watched halftime show of all time because her fan base is just so huge. And she would probably put on a good show. it's just them Swifties, man. It's oof. Sometimes you just gotta put a muzzle on half of them
I,
because it's
I,
outrageous with them.
I ain't gonna lie, Tom. I think they would. I think they would extend halftime if
They
she was
would.
to
Oh
do it.
yeah,
I think they would extend halftime, the performance even longer if she was to do it.
yeah. I 1,000 agree, 1,000% agree with that. They probably tell them ahead of time, like, look, the producers ain't going for it, boys. You're gonna have a longer halftime. You might have to eat a sub,
Man,
rehydrate. Like you gonna be back here for a while. She
gonna
got to
be a
put on
new
them belts.
game, a literal new game when you come back.
Hey yo, yeah, that it should be interesting who they go with next year. But I think definitely they got to keep going in a direction of having a hot hand or one of the biggest stars that are open to doing a Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment here, Manny. This segment right here, when I was thinking about it, I was just reminiscing about how good the season was. So I want to know your thoughts on the NFL season this year. Did you think it was a good year, bad year? What's your overall thoughts on the NFL season?
Man, I loved it, bro. I truly did love this season, bro. It was an outstanding season. And I think the main reason I enjoyed this season so much is because it was so unpredictable. Like we didn't know maybe until about week 9 or 10 who was really good and who wasn't. And then even then, it was still some questions like, is this team actually still good, or are they just playing easy teams, or like what the case was. There was a lot of teams in the playoff hunt. There was a lot of teams where the playoff decision came down to the final game in week 18. It
Yeah,
was it was tremendous, man. The division competition was great. I think a lot of divisions had some good competition. You look at AFC North, NFC South. It was really close to AFC West. I mean, it was close over there. And then NFC North. It was so many divisions that just had great competition. And then you got to mention the NFC West, which somebody could argue is the best division in football. But you had a lot of different division teams that was really good and just going against each other. And I thought it made for great football on all aspects. A lot of teams who were down bad last year flipped the script. You look at the teams in the AFC South with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Colts started off extremely hot and then faded off a little bit, didn't make
yes,
the playoffs. So it was, to me, it was just always something to kind of scope out in this season. There was always a team who was on the come up and falling down. It was just a lot of things happening with the season. And then on top of all of that, man, I thought the play was just tremendous too for a lot of football teams in this season. So I personally enjoyed it. It was a you kind of seen a lot of guys who we thought were dying out in the NFL in terms of different positions, running backs, quarterbacks. They thrived and showed that they still got a lot of legs under their belt. So I loved it, man. I have no complaints about this season, at least as of now. Maybe I might think of one, but just initially, I thought it was a really good season.
yeah, I agree with you. You had a lot of good points. I honestly think this NFL season was one of my favorite seasons in a long time. And every year for the NFL is good, but something about the season was just special. Like there were so many surprises. And like you said, for like the first 10 weeks, we didn't know who was good or who was bad because anybody could beat anybody on a weekly basis during the NFL season this year. And like you said, I like the divisional matchups this year. The NFC West, I agree with you. I think that was the best division of football. Three teams from that division went to the playoffs. The NFC North was a lot of fun to pay attention to. Like the divisional competition was really good. And like you said, a lot of divisional play, like the NFC South and the AFC North, those games came down to the final game of the regular season to determine who would get in. And there was like a lot of surprise teams this year, like the Bears, the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Seahawks. Like if I told you Sam Darnold and Drake May would play in the Super Bowl,
Man,
all the
I
way
would
back in August, you would call me insane and delusional. But
definitely.
even if I told you Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow would all miss the playoffs and Josh Allen was in and still couldn't get to the Super Bowl, you would still call me insane. Like, that's the
True.
madness of the NFL season. And to your point, too, I felt like the league this year was definitely more balanced. Like previous years, like you could already tell, like, oh, the Chiefs are going. You could already
Yep.
tell the Eagles will eventually break away from the pack and be a Final Four team in the NFC or a Final Two team in the NFC. Like there were several high power offensive teams, and I know a lot of people rave about, oh, you need an offensive minded head coach to win. now the trajectory of that is starting to change because there was a lot of high-powered defenses, and now Mike McDonald, defensive-minded guy, just won a Super Bowl. So now
Yeah.
there's more balance in there with coaching, and now you're seeing more methodical offensive versus defensive matchups at the head coaching department and coordinator departments. And there was like a lot of historic years this year, like Matthew Stafford's historic MVP year. I'm glad he won it over Drake May, clearly.
Man, thank God.
Miles Garrett breaking the all-time sack record, and winning another Defensive Player of the Year award. Like there was a lot of competitive games. I think Sunday Night Football was elite nearly every single Sunday, like Sunday night. Like I remember the Dallas game being there for the Dallas and Green Bay game.
Yeah.
The Week 1 game between the Ravens and the Bills. Like there were so many controversial games that happened Sunday night. You could also say the Ravens and the Steelers, the final moments of the regular season with the missed field goal.
Man.
Like it was just so exciting and unpredictable all year long. I really am gonna miss this season, but I think this was definitely one hell of a year for the NFL.
Yeah, and, I agree with you because you brought up a really good point about just not knowing who would win this season and not knowing who could go to the Super Bowl. Because in previous years, like you said, bro, in previous years, we mostly knew, oh, Chiefs going back, oh, Patriots going back, oh, Eagles going back. Like what we pretty much knew what teams was gonna go because the playing field wasn't really as even. So now that we're in a spot where anybody can go, especially based on matchups and getting the number one seed and just winning your division, now it just makes everything so much more entertaining because every week is true competition. Like this
Yeah,
is one of the things that I really dislike about college football sometimes is that when you are an elite school, you don't got to play the elite competition no more. You can go play these trash schools or these small Division 1 schools and beat them by 40 points. In the
yeah,
NFL, you ain't doing it. You don't really get a week off like that. It's rare that you can come across a team that's 3-14 and still even blow them out because sometimes they might put up a fight and end up beating you. Like, so it was a lot of that this season. It wasn't really too many like sorry teams. It was maybe like, I mean, it was a couple, but again, it was still mostly very competitive. And even the sorry team still put up a fighting effort. And I thought it was, I just thought it was a great season, man. I agree.
yeah. And then that's to your point too. There was only like I want to say only like four sorry teams really in the NFL this year, and I think everybody else was decent despite their record. Like I'm looking at the Browns, I'm looking at the Raiders, the Titans,
Yeah.
and the Jets. Everybody else was solid or decent. Like the Giants, even though they have like a top 5, top 8 pick, like they were competing all the way through with
Yeah.
as bad as the record they were. Like you could throw in upset wins with the Browns upsetting the Packers when they were hot early in the season. When the
Hmm.
Rams were red hot the first time they ran into the Carolina Panthers, nobody expected that to happen.
Yeah.
And then a team like the Dolphins, like they lost Tyreek Hill, and all of a sudden they went on a big win streak, even though they fell short in the end. But it's just like every team that looked like they were down and out, like they showed some type of grit and to play better. I could even throw the Saints in there in your division too. Like I could have
Yeah.
swore they were going to be the worst team in football,
Man.
but they were.
Same.
How many
Same.
games did they win? 6, 7 games?
They ended up winning 6 games,
Yeah,
which
see,
was crazy. And it's even crazier because the Saints, they swept. I need to fact check, but I'm pretty sure the Saints ended up sweeping the Panthers.
they did.
Meanwhile, the Panthers swept the Falcons, and the
Yep.
Falcons swept the Saints. But the Falcons couldn't beat the Panthers. So it was madness. And this wasn't the only division where some craziness like this happened. So it was just madness because even the AFC or the NFC North was very similar. The Packers swept the Lions, or the Packers swept the Bears, or vice versa, whatever it was. Something
Packers,
like
yeah, you had it. Packers swept the Lions.
Packers swept the Lions, but the Lions swept the Bears.
And
But
then the Vikings swept the Lions. Like
and
that's
then
like
the Vikings swept that. Like it's mad. It was just madness, bro. So like it was so entertaining for me. Just being able to watch these type of battles happen across divisions, and obviously playoff seeding had a lot to do with how everything played out. So it's in a great place, man. I really think the league is just in a great place right now.
yeah, and that's the only complaint. I mean, it's not really a complaint because it happens all the time in sports. The injury bug, I felt like
Yeah.
affected a certain amount of teams, but at the end of the day, like every team goes through it. Like I felt like, unfortunately for the Packers, like once they lost Micah, that hurt them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when the Chiefs lost Mahomes, it was already over with.
That
But
was GG's.
uh,
That was yeah.
when the Colts lost Daniel Jones, that was, dang, they went down hard.
But
They even
even
had to
that was
call
incredible.
Philip.
Even that was crazy though. That Philip Rivers came out of retire. A literal grandpa came out of retirement and was still winning ball games.
Yeah,
Like
man,
just
that's
crazy.
that's insane.
Yeah,
Oh,
man. This season was nuts, man.
yeah, and the craziest thing is like teams, and then another team that probably shouldn't even been in the conversation for going so far, like the 49ers. The fact that
Yeah.
they went that far with Fred Warner, Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, George Kittle, all their top stars missing time, and they never really
Man.
had a number one wide receiver, and they
Yeah.
still found a way to be in the NFC and go to the division round at least. Like it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I agree, man. It was an insane season, but I really enjoyed it. I loved every aspect of it.
Yeah, man. I wish it didn't end, but I know they got to recover. We got to do an off-season signings, the draft. We'll be back in September before we know it, but it's gonna be a bumpy ride till we get there because I'm definitely gonna miss football.
Yeah.
Um, but with that being said, we'll move on to the next segment. We're gonna pivot over here to the NBA, talk about some basketball. So, Manny, I don't know if it's me, but I feel like every year the NBA tries to steal the thunder of the NFL. The trade deadline is always during Super Bowl week, but we had some big trades. I want to know your winners and losers of the NBA trade deadline.
Yeah. I think a team. Well, first, let me start by saying this. I think the trade deadline has been dead. The trade deadline has been dead. It ain't been too many moves where I'm like stunned, like, oh my God, this team about to go win the championship now, or this team about to
Yeah.
go do that now. No, I'm not really moved by too many of the moves that happened at the deadline. That's first things first. So with that being said, I think there was a couple teams that got better during the deadline. And there was some teams who's probably still going to be the same, finish maybe ninth, 10 in a play in or something like that. But the one that really stood out to me the most, I would say the Atlanta Hawks and
Mm,
the Washington Wizards. These two teams, to me, they benefited the most from this trade deadline, meaning they got better and they will be better in the future. And we'll look back to this point at some point and be like, wow, when did they get this part or how did they become good? And I think we'll look back on this moment at the trade deadline. More so for the Atlanta Hawks, I think trading for Jonathan Kuminga was huge.
mhm.
Getting rid of Porzingis, I just already I hate to be Daryl the Downer, but as soon as they got Porzingis, I was trying to tell people like, why are you so hyped? They're not gonna do anything. I know a lot of people was happy about it. Porzingis to me was a guy who is a perfect fit to a team that's already well polished. He's that extra over
Yeah,
the top layer. He's gonna play defense. He might not be able to get you a lot of games all season and play a bunch of minutes, but he's going to be someone who's just that extra edge over the top. Like, damn, they got dude coming off the bench too, hitting threes, blocking shots, running up and down the court. Like, he's that extra layer, that extra spice to whatever you already have. And the Hawks aren't there to really, put the cherry on top right now. So them trading Kaminga, sending him over to Golden State, to me was a good move for the Hawks. They won that trade for sure. As far as the Warriors, to me, I'm like, okay, cool. You got Porzingis, but I still don't think Porzingis will be enough help to get them to where they're trying to be, especially on the back end of Steph Curry years. But with Kaminga, this Atlanta Hawks team, this is a good team, man. The personnel wise, they're lining up to be a good team, and I know their record and all doesn't show it right now, and the stats don't favor them. But from a personnel wise, once these guys can continue to play together for a little bit and add a little more depth on the bench, I think they will be solid because this is a very lengthy team. And now Kaminga, I'm sure we're going to see how much of a bucket he was and how much he was held back with the Golden State Warriors because he's not able to shoot as much as he wants to when you're playing with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. No, you got to be a system player. You got to be a role player. So now that he's in Atlanta, where they don't really have like a true number one scorer. They play team ball, and some guys get hot on occasion. Kaminga, I think he'll be able to thrive there.
Yeah, excuse me. You had a lot of good points. Like the Atlanta Hawks, I really did like the fact that they traded for Jonathan Kuminga, and I think this is a player for a long time that has like that unlockable potential. Like you're playing a 2K my play, you'll never know what you can do
Yeah,
until you put the effort and the work into him. And I feel like as good as a coach Steve Kerr is, for some reason there will always be a reason why this man's minutes would fade away in Golden State or he wouldn't utilize him. Like, oh, like you said, you got to be a role player to Steph, Draymond, or whoever else is there. Oh, you got to take a step back because we just traded for Jimmy Butler, so your minutes are gonna decrease. And he wanted out for a long time. Like this is a long time
yeah,
coming, but for whatever reason, the organization just held on to him for so many years. Like, nah, we're just gonna keep you. Then they finally traded him, and like you said, Porzingis, I felt like years ago what he tore is ACL, right?
yeah. It was something like it was a big injury for sure.
Yeah, for a big man like that, he's never been the same. But like to your point, he's only works on a well polished team. That's why he had a lot of success with the Boston Celtics. They didn't need him on a nightly basis. They only needed him when it mattered most, and that's why he was so efficient with the Celtics. Now you put him on a Golden State Warriors team that's like in the middle of the pack in the West, but you only really consider them contenders. I mean, not contenders, but in the mix because of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr have done it 4 times. Other than that, you wouldn't really consider them contenders right now. And with Jimmy Butler out with the ACL, I don't think that trade is really going to benefit them down the line. They'll probably move off of them around this time next year. So I don't really like it for the Golden State Warriors, but I do like the Hawks. Now the Wizards, I am so surprised. Like this team has made so many damn moves. Like as a Miami Heat fan, how the hell am I sitting here saying that the Washington Wizards have made more moves than the Miami Heat by the trade deadline? Like it's crazy.
Insane.
I know the month ago they traded for Trae Young and they got Anthony Davis. I'm gonna talk about them in a second, but I think moving forward they are building something decent if they could all stay on the court in DC. And I know, like I like to go to basketball games, but like a few months ago, I went to the Wizards and the Cavs game. I only
Mhm.
really went out there to see what the Cavs was going to look like early on in the season, but it was like a BTA in the midway point of the third quarter. Like now I get to see some type of competition. Well, I shouldn't say competition, but some type of decent play out of the Washington Wizards when I want to go to a basketball game.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they look like next year. But those were some good points that you said. Those were some good points with the Hawks
Yeah.
and the Wizards.
Also, too, with the Hawks, man, I really say like Hawks is winners because in that trade they landed. I think it was Buddy Hill. I think it was Buddy
Yeah, they
Hill
did.
and
Yeah.
also Gabe Vincent. And I thought Gabe Vincent. I mean, as a Heat fan, Gabe Vincent was going crazy in Miami, and
Yes.
I thought as soon as he left, it wasn't gonna really do him a lot of justice playing in LA there, just because it
Mm-hmm.
was already so disorganized. Now that he's going to a team that's like setting a foundation and that kind of already has a foundation, if you will, I think it'll help him even more. But we've seen what kind of player he can be and what kind of player he is, especially when he's on a well coached team and a well put together team. So I'm definitely excited for Gabe Vincent over there in Atlanta as well. He's another player where I'm like, you get Gabe Vincent, you get Buddy Hield, Kaminga to add on Dyson Daniels. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good squad over there, man. They got a solid core as of now, and they have a solid foundation more so to build on right now.
Yeah, that's a good point with Gabe Vincent. My man, after we went to the finals a few years ago, the man left Miami, went to LA. And I just
Man,
felt like the minute he got there, it wasn't going to be a good fit because you already had LeBron, you already had Austin Reeves. Now, when nobody knew that Luca would just fall in the laps of the Los Angeles Lakers at the time. But
man,
once Luca got there, like the man wasn't getting enough touches. Like this is a spot
yeah,
up shooter that can change a game in a blink of an eye. He can make the jump shots. He can make the three pointers. Like this, Gabe Vincent is a good guard, but I felt like once he got to LA, he was misused. And I want to say
sure.
like what was his name back then? Kendrick Nunn. When he left
Mm.
Miami, when he was a part of the bubble team and went to LA, like they misused him, and now he's like, I don't even know if he's still in the league or
Yeah,
not
yeah,
anymore.
we don't hear much from him now.
Yeah, but I got one winner and I got one loser.
Okay.
Um, First winner, I'm gonna go with the Cavs here. Now, I'm not
Mm.
saying the Cavs gonna win it all or not, Manny, But I think they're winners here because you did a somewhat surprise trade of James Harden going from the LA Clippers to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I think that's a winning pair with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. I think James Harden is not the same MVP player that he once upon a time ago, but I think at this point in his career, he's still a dependable offensive impact player over Darius Garland. And James Harden right now, he's averaging 25 points per game, 8 assists. He's still playing very well at this point of his NBA career. And he's a great passer, a good playmaker with the ability to get other guys like Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen going on a nightly basis. I think that gives them a chance to win. And I watched the Cavs and Nuggets game last night. That was a nail biter. But right now, with Harden in the lineup, they're 2-0, so we're going to see what they look like. I think, honestly, James Harden gives the Cavs more of a chance to compete in the East. Now, there's still a lot of loaded teams. Your Pistons, the Knicks, the Celtics. But I think adding James Harden, if he could show up in the playoffs, that gives him more of a chance to get over the hump of the second round and get to a conference finals over Darius Garland. But yeah, I like this. And then when Mitchell isn't on the floor, like they also traded for Dennis Schroeder. Like you could bring him to play point guard, and then James Harden, you could let him do his thing, unleash him as a shooting guard on the court. So I think the Cavs moving forward, this could be a win for them, but time will tell how far they'll get in the playoffs. Though. But I do like the upgrade here over Darius Garland.
I got a couple things to pick with the Cavs, man. While I understand the hype of Harden, Harden is a tremendous basketball player. Anytime you add Harden to your team, you're easily going to become better, without a single doubt. But my only thing about the Cavs, all of a sudden, being better than what they are now, and the awful start that they got off to, is the
Yeah.
fact that we've seen Harden play with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. What more does he need to succeed? What more does Harden need to succeed? Now, after playing with Kevin Durant, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell is going to be the key that turns you to a champion? Nah, nah, nah. I'm just not going for it. Especially when this Cavs team wasn't that bad to begin with, but a lot of people, hey man, I just want to go on and say a lot of people credited the Cavs being better than what they are, and I'll never forget that Kenny Atkinson, he robbed my guy. He robbed the Pistons
Oh,
of Coach of the Year. For some reason, he brought back this same team that they had when they was in the playoffs and couldn't get past the Pacers, and all of a sudden they stunk it up. But JB Bickerstaff, tremendous round. Obviously, they got put out in the first round. Things didn't go their way. Played a good Knicks team, and things didn't go their way. Again, very inexperienced, whatever. But JB Bickerstaff took that same team with even less pieces because let's not forget, Malik Beasley has not been with the Pistons all year, and he was a key element in the Pistons' success. But yet, he still found a way to turn it around. But yet, you mean to tell me the Cavs bring back the same exact team where they won a playoff series, and now they just stink? I'm just
yeah.
like I'm on the side. That's my only bone to pick with the Cavs, man. Is look, I know it's Donovan Mitchell, tremendous basketball player. James Harden, definitely a tremendous basketball player. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But this is a guy played with Paul George, played with Kawhi Leonard, played with Kevin Durant, played with Kyrie Irving. Donovan Mitchell is going to be the one to turn him into a champion all of a sudden. I'm not going for it. I'm just not going for it. And I think these boys get put out in the first round. I think they still get put out in the first round. I
Dang.
still don't think it's really going to work out for them if they even make it out the play-in. To be honest, like I still don't, because you look at some of these play-in teams, bro. The Hornets have been hooping. Like the Hornets have been balling. They're on this hot streak right now. I know the Pistons just snapped their 9-game win streak, but the Hornets have been hooping. So I say all this to say, like, yes, it's Harden. He's gonna give his 30 points. He's gonna give his 25 and 8. He's gonna hoop no matter what. But in terms of winning these playoff series, I just don't know if that would be a big enough factor for the Cavs to just turn everything over and all of a sudden go win a championship. No, because let's not forget, Harden still don't play no defense. And he ain't playing it as he get older and older. He ain't about to start playing more and more defense. It's just not happening.
Yeah, man, that's the thing. Like, I like the upgrade over Darius Garland, but then to your point, it's just like if that man could
It's
just show up in the playoffs, like we would be talking about him being. I mean, he's still one of the best shooting guards of all time, but we probably could be trying to elevate him up in the list. But yeah, like to your point, he's playing with basically every superstar there is, other than LeBron in the modern era, like KD,
I'm
Kawhi,
saying.
Paul George, Westbrook, Kyrie. Like it gets to a point you got to do something. And I don't know if he wanted out of LA or not, but it's just like if he's brought to Cleveland, the expectations have to be very high because who's to say he could stick around for much longer? If things, like you said, if it's a collapse happens, a first round exit, a play in exit,
Yeah.
the worst happens.
And that's also another thing too, because Donovan Mitchell is I it's either this year or the following year is going to be in a contract year. And it's been talks of him possibly not re-signing to Cleveland. And if he leaves Cleveland, they about to have to
Oh, it's
start
over.
all over again. You're gonna
It's
have to
over.
go right back to square one because Harden ain't gonna put no whole team on his back at what, almost 30? If not already 30? I don't know his age, but he ain't put at this age that he's at, he ain't putting a whole
He's
team
up
on his
there.
back and carrying.
Yeah, I think I want to say, nah, probably 34. I'm going to see James Harden age because I know he's up there in age. 30. Damn, Harden's 36?
36. So yeah, if you the Cavs, you lose Donovan
Damn.
Mitchell, he doesn't re-sign, and now you're left with Harden on your team, and Harden's gonna also be trying to get a bag too because he's coming up on a contract. It's like the Cavs are about to have to go all the way back to square one, man. You about to have to go back to square one. So I think this was a move where it's like, all right, we're gonna bring in Harden, we can make this trade happen. Let's try and hopefully hope for a championship or gun for a championship. But if not, if we lose Donovan Mitchell, we got to blow this whole thing up, man.
Yeah, that's a good point because, yeah, their window, this is it. Like they got a year, they got this year and then the following year. And then you got to really consider blowing it all up and trying again with like a similar way that the Hornets are building or how OKC is built because yeah, you're 36 for Harden. That's actually crazy. And
Man,
Donovan Mitchell, like you said, coming up in a contract year, and if you don't get it done with the East getting better as each year goes on, when new teams rising, like your Pistons are in the mix now, the Raptors are climbing up the ranks, the Hornets, I think they'll definitely be there in a year or so.
yeah,
It's just like a lot of teams are getting better. You're gonna have to consider this window, but yeah, that's definitely gonna be something to pay attention to for sure.
yeah, I agree, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how pans out, but I'm not really buying into any of that hype.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens. But Manny, I got an interesting loser. There is no team that is a loser, but I think the loser of the NBA trade deadline would have to be the NBA league. And for several reasons. I think the NBA is the losers of the NBA trade deadline because
Oh,
we're always banking on a superstar to be moved. Yeah, there's star players or role players that were moved, but everybody was banking on Giannis to be traded, and he wasn't traded. That's one situation. Then I'm looking at situations like the team that you said, the Wizards. I think the Wizards made some good moves, but I have some bones to pick with two teams, the Wizards and the Jazz by the trade deadline. Yeah, the Wizards acquired two injured players, of Trae Young and Anthony Davis. They have yet to play for the Wizards this year, and rumors that neither one of those players are going to play for the Wizards this year, which is really insulting for the league because you mean to tell me they can't suit up for at least 5 to 10 games? And then if you keep purposely losing, if you're the Wizards, if you're at least a top 8 worst team in the league, you finesse the New York Knicks of their first round pick. So then you're possibly talking about getting a lottery pick. So
man.
intentionally losing, sitting out two players that you just traded for can't get any time out there on the court this year. I think that's insulting for the league. And then I was looking at the highlights on YouTube Sunday morning between the Jazz and the Magic. In this game Saturday night, the Jazz were up by 17 on the Magic towards the end of the third quarter, right? Laurie had 27 points. Jaren Jackson, they just traded for, had 22 points. Nurwick had 14 rebounds. They pulled all three of those players, Manny,
I
in the
did see
fourth
that.
quarter, and they benched all of them. They lost that game. And of course, my Miami Heat lost to a team that's intentionally losing yesterday in the Utah Jazz. But my point is, it's just like teams are purposely banking on tanking and they're not even hiding it. And those teams aren't just the other ones. We've seen teams do that over the last few years, but it's just insulting to the league because that's why certain basketball fans don't pay attention to the league until like the second half of the season after All-Star break or towards the playoffs because you
Yeah.
got a good chunk of teams just intentionally losing because they could possibly secure a lottery pick if you're like what in the 14th range or the 12th range bracket of the worst teams, you're eligible to get a lottery pick. So it's just like I hate the fact that it comes down to that in basketball sometimes. People just get so greedy to have a top tier lottery pick and they intentionally lose ball games.
Yeah, that's an interesting take though, Tom. I haven't really thought about it like that, and I think at this point we definitely got to do something about like there has to be some sort of rule change to adjust on the new era of basketball. Like
Yeah,
where obviously one of the things I really liked was the 65 game rule to be eligible for, awards in the NBA, whether it was MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star. Like I actually like that rule. A lot of people are against it, but I think it's something good, and that's an adjustment that they made from people resting so much. So there has to be some sort of adjustments that the league can do to make sure teams aren't just throwing games and tanking or even gambling. Because when they pulled the three starters in Utah in that game after being up and they didn't play the whole fourth quarter, that's the
bro.
first thing went in my mind. Is the league saw that over under, or they saw something, they got a call from somebody and they were like, nah, keep them on the bench. And that's what happened. Like it was that was weird to me. So I think they just got to readjust and at some point establish a new rule.
Yeah, man, I agree with that, and I like the 65 game rule, like you said, like with the awards and stuff. I think that's pretty valid. You got to play a certain amount of games to be eligible for awards. But then I'm just like, what are we doing with some of these teams? Like, how long do y'all want to be sorry and just tank every year? Like, I get it; it's a rebuilding process when you're down, but the intention to lose games, how are you building something for the future? How are you building towards free agents
Facts.
possibly coming to you and your city during the offseason? It's just it's bad overall basketball, and you got like a lot of bottom tier teams just playing out there and wasting games. Like this is automatic wins for the
Facts.
certain teams. Like it's just aggravating because it's just like they put on a uniform to not really try, but they get paid all these millions of dollars, and unfortunately, some fans come out to and pay their hard-earned money to check these guys out maybe once or twice a year, and you just go out there and just purposely lose, no intention, just because you want a top tier lottery pick. It's just like it's
I,
insulting for
you know,
basketball.
I'm on the side of and I've been saying this for a while, but I'm on the side of I said this about a lot of sports. Actually, I said about baseball, I said about NFL, and also the NBA. I'm on the side of if your team isn't or hasn't reached a certain threshold amount of wins or having a winning season in a certain amount of years, owners should be forced to sell a team.
Yeah,
They
I
should be
agree.
forced to sell a team, especially again. And this I really feel this way in the MLB, in the NFL, and in the NBA because there are some owners that are just ruining and butchering these teams and not having a single care about it. So to me, I'm like, if the league really wants to make sure the competition is even, the competition is steady, and there's competition every single night they're playing, especially when you got like 30 some teams in each league, they have to set a certain threshold and some sort of standard to where if you don't have a winning season in this many years, or you don't win this many games in this many years, then you will be forced to sell the team. And if you don't like that, then you need to take your team and go to Europe and play Euro ball, or you need to go to Canada play in the AFL. You need to go somewhere else and play in a different league. Because if you're going to be in a professional sports here, MLB, NFL, NBA, you need to be serious. This is supposed to be the best league in the nation, best league in the world,
Yeah.
and some owners are literally just butchering it. So I've always felt that way, but I don't know what the specific threshold would be in terms of wins or how many winning seasons you have to have in X amount of years, but it needs to be something. And I don't. I think other than that, you'll continue to see teams just stay at that bottom range. You'll continue to see teams stay at the bottom of the barrel and try and sell tickets by landing certain draft picks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with those points too, because for all major leagues, it gets to a point like how many years are you really going to sit at the bottom? I think for your point, it should be a 3 to 5 year window of if you have a certain amount of games that you lost with a certain losing percentage and things are not getting better and you're just trying to purposely tank to get better draft capital, you need to be forced to sell your team. I agree with that. You don't like it, take it somewhere else. because it's just like people want an expansion in the NBA for what? Like that goes to our point of what we
Facts.
just said. What do you want an expansion for? To have more teams, another two teams possibly tank just to get their hands on a top tier player coming out of college or the G League or whatever it is. And it's just like for the NFL too, it's just like how many years are you going to expect the Cleveland Browns to be bad and you're just banking on a top 5 draft pick or someone like the Vegas Raiders. They knew all year long that they were stinking up the joint, but we're just going to continue to go on a
Yeah.
10, 11 game winning losing streak without no consequences being done. It's just like certain teams there has to be a wake up call. I 1000% agree with that, Manny. And especially when the NBA just makes me sick. It's that lottery system that just
Yeah.
teams just pray for. Like someone like the Dallas Mavericks, a 1% chance after trading their best player, got their hands on the best player coming out of college,
Yeah.
bro. Like,
Granted. Adam
how
Silver
does this
said, "Don't
happen?
worry, don't worry. We'll help you out. We know that was a dumb trade. We'll help you out."
Man, like it don't get much worse than this because that's how the Wizards have stayed like this. I mean, the Hornets, I will give credit to. I do think they're building something, but a lot of these teams, it's just like they just sitting there, just waiting for it. The Bulls, like
Bulls, Nets.
the Nets
It's a
too.
lot of these teams, and I know some of these teams got a good amount of draft picks, but still, if you ain't picking the right players, it don't matter how many draft picks you got.
Man, I actually think that was one of the best takes I've ever heard you say, Manny, because like how many wasted franchises are we going to see on a yearly basis about? Like y'all are
Man,
suiting up for what? We already know your intentions, and some of these teams don't even hide it. They don't even go out there and
facts.
hide it anymore.
And then you know what's crazy, and this will be like the last thing I say on it, but like you know what's crazy too is like it's been proven that it don't take that damn long to turn around a franchise. Like it's been proven. We've
No,
seen it with in every league, literally in MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA. We've seen it don't take that damn. It don't take 20 years to completely turn around a team. Like
no,
2 years ago, Pistons won less than 20 games, and now they're on pace to only lose 20 games.
top
Like,
tier team in the East.
like it's crazy. So you know, that's one example. You look at yeah, like you said, OKC is another example. Even the Seahawks, the Patriots. Like, there's so many teams where it just shows like if you really want to turn it around, you can, and especially in baseball. So
Yeah,
that's just something where I'm like, that it has to change. That's one thing that has to change. We can't keep acting like, oh, this team is in rebuild mode. They're in rebuild mode. It's year 8. It's year 8 and they still rebuilding. Come on, man. It don't take that long.
yep, especially with the rebuild and the playing teams. Like, damn, when the hell the Bulls go get out the play-in situation?
Never.
You lose the play-in tournament, you're eligible to be in the lottery for the first overall pick. Like, bro, come on now, y'all gotta
Yeah.
get out, y'all
It
gotta wake up and do something about it.
All right, so that's another thing too. And like we've had to play in for what, like 3, 4 years now.
Oh, since
I
COVID, yes, we were going on year 6.
Year 6 with the play in. I think it's fair to say, and I might even make this a take on my pod. I think it's fair to say that the play in is not the best for the NBA at this point.
No,
I
I
think
agree
it's
with
fair to
that.
say, because at this point, if you have a chance to get in the playoffs and also get in the NBA draft lottery, to me, it's a nope. That's a no, man. It's not good, and now it's keeping teams mediocre. Either your ass is a top 8 team or you're not. You need to like either you're good enough or you're not. It shouldn't be no, oh, we about to get an extra chance. And no, at this point, we've had to play in for about 6 years now. It was cool for the bubble. Like, okay, some people didn't get to finish the season and all of that.
Yeah.
I get it. But now the way it's played out, teams are just banking on a play in now. It's
Mm.
like and it's nah, man. We can't do that. I think it's time we got to get rid of it.
Yeah, because I even as a Miami Heat fan last year, I even said, I remember we were talking about, I was like, man, don't beat the Chicago Bulls, don't beat whoever we beat in the other game because we could just turn around and get a lottery pick. We could be right in the mix to get
Man,
Cooper Flag
yeah.
or somebody.
I do remember that. I do remember you telling me that actually.
Oh, just lose, not purposely lose, but just go ahead and lose and turn around and try to get a top 5 lottery pick. But it's just that's yeah. There's got to be some things that change in sports, but the NBA they got a lot of work to do, in terms of
Yeah,
how to. I know me and you love basketball, but for like other fans, they got a lot of work to do to keep fans engaged from what late October all the way to June. Like that's a long time, and there's a lot of things that they got to fix in the league with the play-in
man.
tournament, teams purposely losing on purpose all year long. They got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't know. They got to make something happen.
Yeah, I 1000% agree with that. We'll go ahead and move on to the final segment here, and I want to know your thoughts on this one because I'm now just seeing that possibly Jayson Tatum could possibly return by the end of the season. Do you think the Boston Celtics should bring back Jayson Tatum this NBA season?
All right, I'm trying to answer this in a way where my Pistons fandom is not showing. But I think either way, there's not like a good answer because they've been rolling as of right now, without Jayson Tatum. And there's a small part of me that believes if Jayson Tatum comes back right before the playoffs, it'll throw off their rhythm and they won't be able to fix it in enough time to win a playoff series. But if they continue to play how they are now and Jayson Tatum doesn't come back, they'll still be dominant and they'll still advance far on in the playoffs because they are playing so good and they're in a good rhythm. So I go back and forth about this, but the flip side of both of these is we obviously know what Jayson Tatum brings to a team, and we know how great he is as a player. So when they do get Jayson Tatum back, if they do establish this rhythm, and can continue to play such great basketball with Jayson Tatum back in the lineup, which I think they will be able to do, they become scary again. They become very scary again. So oh man, as a Pistons fan, I want Jayson Tatum to come back if he can, but not until it's like a week or so before the playoffs because it'll shake up their rhythm. But for the Celtics, I also want Jayson Tatum to come back because I think that it'll be beneficial because I trust them to be able to maintain certain minutes for him and restrictions and to be able to get good usage out of Jayson Tatum to be able to have solid ball games. So man, it's tough. I don't really want to see him back with the Pistons because they become a very deep team once Jayson Tatum returns.
Yeah, I'm on the edge here because you're talking about the franchise player and Jayson Tatum. Now, this is my thing. If Jayson Tatum is at least 75% healthy to play for the Celtics, I would bring him back. But you have to ease him back into it because, like you said, they're on a groove and they're overachieving right now. Like they're the third
Right.
best team in the Eastern Conference behind the Knicks and the Pistons right now. So that's really impressive. So if you're going to bring him back, you're going to have to ease him back into it. And I think this is very smart not to throw him out back on the active roster. I think him going to the G League, getting reps, doing 5-on-5 drills, and I think that's the best situation. Now, if we get to a month, at the end of March, early April, you're talking about bringing him back. I don't know if I like that or not because then you're asking him to come back very late in the regular season and then possibly throwing off the rhythm of the Celtics, like you said, and then possibly not being 100% healthy, and then you're just throwing out him out there in the playoff situation where the game is much faster. You're playing in must-play situations because you're in a 7-game series, a winner go home situation. So as good as Jayson Tatum is, if he's 75% ready to go, I would have him back on the Celtics. I would bring him off the bench, give him some minutes to get comfortable. But if it's playoff time, I think that's a bad idea because he's going to have to play fast pace, and we don't know how
Yeah.
healthy he could possibly be. As good as a player he is, good two-way player, he's a difference maker. But I do like your point. The Celtics are really hot right now with what they're doing with Jaylen Brown being the number one right now, and so many other role players. Like they got Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls. That's the big man that they were missing since trading
Yeah.
Al Horford and Porzingis. So they got a lot of good things going on. But I would be very careful with Jayson Tatum, see how it plays out in the G League. But he's gonna have to come back eventually before the playoffs if you're gonna use him. But I would use him at 75%.
Yeah, it'll be scary, man. I think, once I say it's mainly scary because I look at it this way. Right now in the East, the team to beat is the Pistons.
Yeah.
Jayson Tatum comes back this season, the team to beat is going to be the Boston Celtics. Like immediately, I think odds would shift in a way where the Celtics become the favorites to win the East as
Over the
of
Knicks or the Pistons?
over the Knicks and Pistons, based on the books. Not my personal, but I think based on the sports books, I think the favorite would immediately go to the Boston Celtics to win the Eastern Conference if Jayson Tatum comes back, especially well before the playoffs or comes back just a little after the All-Star break. I think they'll become the
That would be
favorites.
scary.
Yeah, I think they'll become the favorites because I mean, they just have a very deep team, and we've seen what this team is already doing with with injured guys. So
Hmm.
they're scary, man. That's a scary team. I still don't think they will beat the Pistons in the 7 game series right now, and maybe even if they had Jayson Tatum, because the Pistons are a dynamic team as of right now as well. But it would definitely make for some great basketball.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think the Celtics got to be very careful here because, like you said, the window would be very open if Tatum can come back. But how fast can you get him back? And then that's why I think if he's under 75%, that's a no. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's a no.
And and even then, though, I'm still kind of hesitant because it's like. I'm just still kind of hesitant because if you don't want to risk him possibly messing himself up even more. You just don't want to
More
risk
time, yeah.
anything crazy. So that's why I say like even then like he would almost have to be 110% for me to be like, all right, they got to bring Jason Tatum back, and he's actually getting good minutes and getting rotation time and being able to get the flow of the game his way and all of these things. Like I don't even think it should be 75, man. I think it has to be in a way like he's got to be 110 because you don't want to be in the same situation next year, you know?
Yeah, and that's true because you lose him now. If God forbid if something happens wrong, that's like you're missing that with him for like another year, banking
Man,
on nearly 2 years without him.
yeah, you can't do that, man. With the Celtics, you can't sit around and wait 2 years. Oh,
Yeah, then we're possibly talking about a whole rebuild, just blowing it all up.
for real.
Yeah, so I want to see how this plays out, but I honestly think if everything goes to plan, he could be back. But it's scary, man, because you throw him out there in early April, like a week or so before the playoffs, that ain't gonna be good. Like
At
the
all.
game is coming too fast for him to just jump out there like that. It's got to be. I want to say maybe we'll see about this around this time next month, but if he ain't back by the end of March, just don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm on your side with that. I think he definitely needs more time than just end of April. I would say by the end of March, if he ain't good enough to come back, then you might just have to wait for him to come back next year. That way, you know he's good, you know he's healthy, you know he has the confidence in his leg and all of that too.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. I think the second half of the NBA season should be really good, especially Eastern Conference. So we're definitely going to be looking to see how that plays out. But man, before we log off, man, where can we find the Run podcast on different platforms?
Yeah, man. To anybody listening, check us out on all podcast platforms. The Run with Manny Wilson. You can also hit us up on social media at the Run Podcast. That's TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube. The Run with Manny Wilson. Check it out.
Yeah, man, Manny puts us some great sports podcast items and things like that weekly. Talks about a lot of different sports. So check out Manny Wilson, the host of the Run podcast.
I
But
appreciate
that's
that.
all the time we have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching and listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, and the host of the Run podcast, Manny Wilson, signing out. I'll see you guys on next week's episode.